Welcome to another episode of Getting Real in the Field. This is the show where we talk about all the things that you hate to do, following up, making phone calls, staying in contact with all of your past clients, looking for that low-hanging fruit, and just overall doing your job. And this is your host, JP Fluellen, and your boy, all the way from Seattle, Keck Tay.
JP, the more I see you in this new setup, there's flowers like starting to pop up all over the background.
Oh, I know. They love me. They love the positive energy. They start to grow. They give me high fives when I walk in the room. They're like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, I haven't seen you all week.
You're sitting on the couch.
They're just sitting on the couch. They're hot. Some of them were like, can you see me? I just want to get a glimpse of you, JP.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, the other podcast we did, we were talking about, we got a question about, hey, should I join a team? So, tonight I thought we would cover, when do you start thinking about building your own team?
So I think I start every sentence off with, so I think we should.
Because when you say so, we should have a little caption that says deep thoughts coming.
Deep Thoughts by JP Fluellen. And the little thought bubble pops up, and
exactly.
Then it's just nothing but smoke and mirrors. Just
where you were going to add it for this like podcast.
Yes. Okay, so when you're talking about teams, okay. When you are currently thinking about like the next phase of where you're headed or where the evolution of your real estate career, first off, you got to think about this in terms of leaps and bounds, not in what am I doing tomorrow? Because you're creating a structure, you're creating a business plan, you're creating a roadmap or blueprint to get from becoming a brand new agent to now I'm producing. And I would say you probably should start thinking about this when you are probably averaging right around 3 to 4 deals a month. Because
that's usually, yeah, you think so? Like 3,
yeah, because
4...
you're on a growth trajectory at that point. Because when you're doing 7, 8, 9, 10, 18 deals a month, and you haven't really thought this through, it's not too late. However, it is really difficult to pivot at that point, because now you're top producing and then you're trying to train someone to your team.
Yeah.
And the reality of a team is that, most people think is team means teammates. That does not mean, in real estate, team does not mean teammates. Team means like you're building the support structure around you as an agent. And usually most traditional brokerages don't have the capacity to support a single agent at a high level. So if you need somebody that is going to be supporting you in the transaction coordination, showing assistant, compliance, paperwork, all these things, when you're doing, 10, 15 deals a month, you're going to be up until 11:30 at night, because you're spending the day showing property, going to inspections, you're responding to emails, you're sending out addendums, you're doing all this busy work. And then when you get back to the office or back home, which most of us are working from home now these days, you're going to spend the rest of the evening going back through all the paperwork and thumbing through all the things and all the missed initials and dotted I's and crossed T's that you missed throughout the day and hunting down all this stuff. And then you're putting it into your your transaction management software. Or if you're super old school, you're printing all this stuff and you're putting it in your file, you know, and this is all the mundane stuff that agents just absolutely hate. They love the making the money. They love going out and visiting with clients, and they love doing all of the things that put your face out there. But all the behind the scenes stuff is just, you know, and
I've got.
yeah,
I was gonna say though, one thing that you kind of blew my mind a little bit, and maybe it's good to kind of share. You said when hiring your team, the typical thinking would be like, I hear from a lot of agents, hey, I'm building a team, I'm going to bring another agent on board. But you said no, actually. So want to shed some light on that?
yeah. So
The first hire, or
your
who's your
first
newest team member?
hire should be a transaction coordinator. That should be your first hire. I don't
Why?
care what coach out there and what smoke they're smoking, or what, peace pipe or whatever else they're doing. Because the reality of it is that your business the best, right? And most top producing agents, they don't have systems. So bringing another agent on, and usually it's a new agent, is how are you going to stop your business running at top speed, full capacity, and then breaking it down and to take all of your knowledge and offloading it into another agent? How is that possible? Because what it's not doing is it's not giving you leverage to become a better, more productive agent. All it's doing is now it's adding this complexity of basically duplicating yourself.
True.
Right. So
I
now
Yeah.
what you're really doing is you're doubling your workload, essentially.
That's a really good point because, a transaction coordinator, if is that you are leveraging and taking all the paperwork, the admin work, taking it off your plate so that you focus on what you do best, building relationships, closing the deals, negotiating the deals, and so forth, right? And all the paperwork and mundane stuff you got, let the transaction coordinator take care of that. Whereas if you hire an agent, a junior agent, let's say, right, and you've got to train them, you got to coach them. Now you have to worry about, oh, how are you going to get more leads for them? Otherwise, they're going to leave, and it just brings on more pain. I love that. I didn't think about it until you told me the other day, and it's like, huh, that's actually really good. And
So
there's that light bulb moment right there.
yeah, so when I hired my first transaction coordinator, believe it or not, I doubled my business that year. Because
Wow.
I was able to come in the office, boom, offload all of the non-income producing activities and get right after it again. I could get on the phones, I could make phone calls, I could have her field all my emails, respond to all my emails, keep staying in the weeds with all of that stuff. And it gave me the ability to spend more time prospecting, setting appointments, and going on appointments and close deals and writing offers.
Yeah.
And even to the point where in most states, your transaction coordinator can actually write the offers for you. All you have to do is review them. So that in and of itself was just huge. So
Time saver. Yeah.
think about it. Think if you could just eliminate all of the in front of your computer parts of real estate
Yeah.
and do what you
Yep.
do best, which is creating relationships and closing.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Now, who would you see as second hire? Is it the agent now or who else?
So I would probably hire a showing assistant first. So a newer agent that you can pay hourly and a small percentage of the closing. So like 5% of the commission plus hourly. So that way they're out there, they're going through the motions of doing the business. But they're out there, when then you can be in two places at once. You could have your showing assistant showing these clients, and then you can be off showing another set of clients. And these are great problems to have. But if you're knocking down 4 to 5 closings a month, then you've got 8 clients that you still need to talk to. And especially during the summers, as most agents have experienced over the last couple of years now, is that the summers are just insane. Multiple offers, escalation clauses, all these things, and they all want to be out at the same time.
Yeah.
And I have
Yep.
experienced multiple times where a showing assistant would have been just amazing. And your showing assistant can also assist your TCs with some of the licensed agent type activities. So that
Sure.
way you can keep them busy, you could still pay them, and yet you're not having to compensate them like, mass quantities.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Now, any other tips and advice for building your team?
Yeah. So then from there, I would say, depending on your lead volume, if you've got experienced agents that are like, because this is always what happens when you start something new, no matter who you talk to, no matter what you do, you're going to start getting phone calls. Hey, man, what are you doing over there at the Titan real estate team? Oh, well, we're generating leads for our agents and we have transaction coordination and we do coaching and training for all of our agents so they could do more deals, in the same amount of time than they've done in the past 3 to 6 months. Oh, really? Well, can you tell me what's going on? And you're just going to organically get people, they're going to start calling you and they're going to be like, I see what you're doing over there. Can I get a meeting? Because they're going to want a meeting, because the moment you create something, when you create the monster and the machine, it just gets into your community. Like,
Okay.
how are you doing so many deals? I tried to talk to so and so over at ABC brokerage and they wouldn't tell me nothing. Oh, well, we train all of our agents. You don't even have to be part of our organization to learn what we're doing. But if you want to know more, just give us a call or come up to one of our showings or come to one of our trainings. And then, they never
Sure.
show up, but they all
Do
sound
you
like they want to.
Okay, so tips and advice on like, do you share your leads, your contacts, or do you have to buy them for your agents now? What are your thoughts
So
on that?
I do 3 buckets. Actually, I do 4 buckets of lead gen. So
Okay,
I generate leads for my agents from my team.
sure.
I teach my agents that they should also generate their own leads because
Okay,
it's all about lead volume. So it's all about leverage. So if I'm generating leads for you, then you should also generate leads for yourself. That we get twice as many leads coming in.
I like that. Yep,
And then from there, then you want to also take advantage of AI technology to stay on top of your past clients, because
that's right.
that's the low hanging fruit. Is that once you do closings, you need to create this past client nurturing campaign. And then you should also do prospecting. So depending on, open houses have been kind of like a mythological creature the last couple years because houses have just been selling so fast. However, I've seen now that it's starting to stabilize just a little bit across the country. We talked about this in our 2022 predictions,
Hmm.
that things are starting to stabilize across the board. However, the quantity of open houses are not nearly as prevalent at this time. So do open houses as frequently as possible. But but make your phone calls, whether it's cold calling or your past clients, or cold, doing circle prospecting where you're buying a list, dumping it into your CRM and start calling a cold list. So let me just kind of go back over this again. So I call it your
Yep.
leads, my leads, sphere, and prospecting. So those 4 buckets of leads.
Okay, I like that, and I love the idea that you're talking about. And I think that's a very uh, wise tip there as well too. It's like, hey, you're going to invest in the agents to kind of do lead gen, but they're going to have to put skin in the game and add it themselves as well too. I see many teams where they just, they pay, they pay a lot for the lead gen, and the agents, it's like, okay, well, I don't, I didn't pay for it, so I'm gonna treat it like a freebie. And when you treat it like a freebie and you're not paying for it, you're going to treat like garbage, right? They don't have this strong a follow-up. And that's something I always kind of, when I talk to team leaders, it's like you've got to teach your team to follow up. Don't
So a
give them
lot of
free.
teams will do a 90-day like trial period,
Yeah.
and it's all measurable, because if it's not measurable, you can't be accountable.
Yep.
So what you want to do is you tell your agents, if you want to make a lot of money, you need to follow these systems. If you don't follow these systems in 90 days, you're off the team.
Totally. And this is what we do now on our system too. There's a dashboard that kind of keeps track of like, hey, how many handoffs do you have? And of those qualified opportunities, and then how are you following up with them? How are you following up with them? Because if you don't, they're wasting your money, right? And that could drain you pretty quickly if you're not
Yep.
careful. So,
Yep. So in ultimately, it's hugely. I mean, it's different when you're part of a brokerage that it's been around for 30 years. They've had this established kind of organic lead generation where you get, like, they used to call it floor time back in the day, where you just
yep,
get people calling and stuff like that. And they haven't paid for a dime. It's just sheer longevity is where that's come from. But these team leaders, they're spending their hard-earned commission dollars to keep the wheels moving. And it's hugely disrespectful if you're a newer agent and you're like, I joined the team for the value of the leads, and then you're not calling the leads.
that's right. That's right.
So out of respect, you should just quit the team if you're not gonna do what you signed up for.
Yeah,
Like, let's be honest. And so some of there's the hiring websites, they can pre-screen a lot of this stuff. So even if an agent wants to switch brokerages, and let's say they wanted to join the Titan real estate team, they can take the assessment, or like the disc profile, and if they don't fit the ideal disc profile, then they're not going to be qualified.
yeah.
And
I
that's just the reality of it, is that and ultimately, in order for your team to be successful, when you start this team, don't hire an agent if you're not ready to do this training and be realistic with your hires. You've got to
yeah,
treat your hires like an employee. They could be all super excited, but if they're not willing to follow through on that excitement when they join your team, then it was all just a smoke and mirrors kind of a conversation about joining a team. And
yeah.
so you don't have to hire everybody. You just don't.
And I will tell you, like, it's an evolving process, right? Like you and I've known you for quite a few years now, and I've seen you grow your team, and you've shared with me some of your frustrations with the teams, and like you teach them, and then they leave and stuff like that. And we should talk about that in one of the upcoming episodes. How do you retain them as well,
Mm-hmm.
too? And kind of grow your team, retain your
Yeah, we
team
can
as
talk
well.
about that on the next episode. We'll talk about retention.
Yeah. Oh, that we love to. Okay. So there you go, guys. Like you've heard, right? Can I say horse's mouth? No, I shouldn't do
No.
that.
From the bearded wizard.
The bearded wizard, full of wisdom, and I like it. It is, if you got anything, it's not hiring. If you're on build your team, it's hiring a TC, not an agent. I like that. And then if you're hiring your agents, start with, a showing or a buyer's agent, right? Um, and then the third thing I got out of tonight as well too is like, share the leads. You put skin in the game by giving them your team, the agents, some leads, but they also got to put skin in the game as well too.
Yep. 100%.
And then doing the prospecting and doing open houses as well to kind of, and then the SOI on top of it. Right. So no, it's great. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, that's it.
That's it.
It's just show up, grow up, and don't throw up. There you go.
You just pulled that one out. I love it. I love it. See, wisdom that's best.
Dropping the
Okay.
knowledge bombs right there.
Okay.
Boom.
Well, that's a wrap for tonight then.
That's a wrap. All right. Well, that's it. Wraps up another episode of Getting Real in the Field. If people want to get a hold of you, Keck, how can they get a hold of you?
You can go visit our website, www.fieldnotes.ai, or you can give me a call. My direct number is 425-740-0260. And
All
you,
right.
JP?
And if you want to get a hold of me, you can go to our website at www.titanreteam.com, or you can call me directly at 307-772-1184. And I'm giving away free 30-minute consultations if anybody wants to take advantage of that. Just give me a text, type the word real into the text box, and I'll know to reach out to you and we'll get something set up. And otherwise, you can just Google me on the Google machine. You can see what else we're doing out on the YouTubes. And don't forget to subscribe, smash that alert button, and share and like this episode. And please make comments if there's something that you would want to hear more about on what we're doing here over at Real in the Field. We'll catch you guys all on the next episode. Thanks for watching. Peace.